Good morning. So before we start, I just wanted to go over movements that I'm going to be talking about. So this is a push movement above head, overhead pull, as you can see. I wrote the captions. Horizontal push, horizontal pull, below vertical push, below vertical pull, a knee hinge type movement like a squat or lunge or step up, and then a hip hinge movement, which is my hip is moving most, deadlift or a hip thrust or bridge. And then an ankle hinge movement, like a calf raise. I just wanted to go over the basics of like movements so that you guys could see kind of what I'm going to be talking about. And so when we talk about these movements, so in my opinion, those are the main movements that I want to make sure that I get in week to week. Okay. And then it's like, okay, so I know that I want to get those movements in. How often do I want to get them? And that's going to depend on what I want to build and what I want to maintain. If I want to build something, I need to do that 2, 3, 4 times a week, 5 times a week if possible. And then if I want to maintain something, then that's going to go in like once a week, really, realistically. I have learned this the hard way. I cannot build all of the things at one time. I have tried, and it doesn't work that well. If you are up in kind of like making it really challenging to build out volume. Like, so if I want to develop my push-up, I need a lot of energy to be able to do that. And so I'm going to probably have to take away energy from somewhere else to be able to kind of build, if that makes any sense. So I do think that most people underrate that they can build more than one skill at a time. Like sometimes if you listen to personal trainers, they're like, okay, focus on one goal. And then that's the one that you have to do like a lot of. I have been able since September to build out like my overhead pull and my horizontal push at the same time. But you can only have like a couple things you want to progress. The other ones kind of have to go into maintenance mode while you are building another skill. So for me, because of the calisthenics program that I started, it's very upper body dominant. And so I wanted to make sure that I had some lower body movements in there that I could maintain. And so when we kind of look at this list, I have, I like squats and I like lunges. I like them separately. They are both considered knee hinge movements, but I don't want to give one of them up. So I actually do that twice a week, even though I'm in maintenance mode. I want to get a squat in. I want to get a lunge in once a week. Okay. So twice a week I do knee hinge movements, but that's at a maintenance level. Meaning I'm not doing it very frequently through the week. I'm also not progressing in weight. Okay. I'm keeping the weight the same as what I kind of ended with when I was progressing those. And I'm just kind of holding with that. Hip hinge. So that could be a deadlift. It could be a bridge, a hip thrust, lots of different variations there. But again, hip thrust, for me is something that I've moved into maintenance mode. So I'm doing it once a week, the same weight that I was. I'm not trying to progress that. And same with ankle hinge or calf raise. Okay. So when you're trying to build in, how often do I want to do something a week? It depends on what you want to build. I said that before. So I just want to go through with you, like, these are the main movements. And I want to kind of personally talk about my goals at the end of the, like, it's helpful to have goals. Like, where do I want to go with this? You don't have to, but I personally find it really helpful to know, like, why am I doing this week to week? Why am I repeating the same movement over and over and over again? Because I want this skill. Okay. So for me, overhead push, I want a handstand. Specifically like a straddle handstand as I get up and a freestanding hold, not having to use the wall. I will say that sneakily in there for whatever reason, I've also developed the want to do a handstand push-up. So what you've seen me doing where I'm kind of like coming in and out of that overhead movement, those are both overhead pushes. That can also look like dumbbell press overhead, lots of different things like that. Overhead pull, my personal goal is to be able to do a pull-up. Okay. So that's my personal kind of, I want to get there. And so I'm trying to build that motion. As you can see, that's 5 times a week. That's the most volume I have in. That's what I want to develop the most. And so that's in there. I also want a toes to bar. So holding onto the bar and bringing my toes kind of up to touch the bar. That's core specific, but it's also a pull movement. I'm having to like support my arms as I'm trying to get, like hold on to the bar as I'm bringing my legs up. So that's an important skill in that, like I have that goal as well. Horizontal push. I have wanted to get 30 push-ups forever. So that is also a goal for me. It's not my main goal. So you can see that it's a little bit less than some of the ones that I want to develop, but it's definitely in there because I don't want to drop it at all. Push-ups, 30 consecutive push-ups, that is my personal goal. And so that's where I want to get to. Horizontal pull, I think, is kind of an underrated movement. It is pulling to the body, pulling towards your chest. It can look like a bent over row. It can look like a cable pull, anything that's moving towards the chest. It can also look like what I want to develop personally, which is like a inverted row. Okay, so I'm on my back, I'm holding onto a bar, and I'm trying to pull my chest up to the bar. And so that one, when I kind of look at training, seems to be correlated to getting a pull up. To be able to get that pull strength horizontally helps with the overhead pull. So I have that in there because I want to develop it for my pull up, if that makes sense. But I also, if I was going to put a goal in there, because I do have goals for a horizontal pull, it would be a lever, a front lever. When you see people holding the bar, they're facing the ceiling and their legs are like hovering and in free space. I'm not there. I am not going to be there for a long time, if ever. But that would be my goal, right? So it's not like I'm trying to develop that right now because I don't have the strength to be able to pull that off. But I'm still doing horizontal pull movements because I think it's going to help with my overhead pull. Below shoulder push and pull, I think, are not always included in the compound movements, but I think that they're relevant and I think that they should be included personally. Okay, so a below shoulder push is kind of like pushing down below the waist. And for me, that looks like an L sit. Okay, so like when you have your hands on the ground and your legs are hovering straight without your bum touching. That's something that I'm trying to build towards. I've wanted that for a very long time, since grade 7, I think. When someone could do it and I couldn't. And then also my dips. My dips is a below shoulder push. And so being able to do those unsupported is a goal of mine as well. Okay. A fairly important goal, as you can see, because I'm trying to do it 4 times a week. I'm trying to build up that volume because those 2 skills are very important for me personally. Below shoulder pull is pulling from the ground. And so I will say that this one I don't include currently. I just want to do all the things, but I don't have enough time. Okay, so that one kind of gets just tossed. I do think that if you're holding onto something like a farmer carry or lunges, that you're kind of like holding onto something fairly heavy when you're doing it, that is that below shoulder pull. You're kind of holding onto the weights, not letting them go. A deadlift would be similar. So if you're choosing a hip hinge movement that looks like a deadlift, you're getting that kind of like pull from the ground in the hands as a skill for your shoulders as well. So I'm not personally putting that in right now, but I'll explain lower. I already told you guys my personal goal with a squat is to do a body weight squat. So 165, 170 squat, and same with a lunge and lunge body weight as well. I'm not there right now. I'm doing 135, but I can't build it right now because I'm building other things. And so these have all gone into maintenance for me. A hip hinge would be a hip thrust at 2.5, 2 times my body weight. No, I lie. 2 times body weight for a hip thrust and deadlift 2 times body weight. Okay. Again, that's not where I am currently. I don't have enough. I don't have enough. Oh my gosh, guys, sorry. 2.5. I don't have enough volume to be able to progress that right now. So they have to stay in hold while I have my energy reserved for my upper body movements. Okay, that's just going to be the way it goes for me. So as you can see, those are either 1 time a week or 2 times a week. They are not getting put in very often. Okay, and then calf raise, I'm going to be moving into a Frisbee season. So this programming that I'm about to do is going to be reflective of that, doing a little bit more movements that are going to be supportive of running around, changing direction, because I got shin splints last year. I don't want to get them again this year. So calf raises, personally, I think that it's very functional to be able to do 30 total, however you want to split it up, 30 reps total, single leg calf raises that are your own body weight. I just personally think that that's a very helpful, functional way to look at lower body strength, calf strength. And so currently I have 35 pounds single leg calf raise over the edge of a stair right now. That's in for me right now. And as you'll see, as I build this out, I'm going to be putting in a couple other things that I think are just rehab specific for helping me out with not getting lower body pain. And then in my website too, I talk about this as well, but a lot of people are like, where do I put in flexibility, warm up, cool down? What about all of those? And I think really the only studies we have is that a warm up should get your heart rate moving, get your body warmed up for 2 minutes, 2 to 5 minutes, that can be helpful. Doesn't matter what you do. It's just like, that would be helpful. Do I do that right now? No, I do not. But as you can see in this programming, I'm going to be putting it in. Flexibility wise, depending on what movement you're trying to do, if you feel like your squat is going to be affected when you do the compound movement, it might be worth working on ankle flexibility before you get into it, right? So when you build this out, you can always put in your warm-up what's specific for that day, given what you're about to do, okay? Flexibility for flexibility's sake, sure, but I would put that on a completely different day. Yeah. And so that's flexibility. Do we put it in? Do we not put it in? And then the other thing is accessories. So when we look at people doing exercises at the gym, sometimes it looks like hypertrophy, which means instead of doing these compound movements where I'm moving my body in complex ways, I'm actually specifically building a muscle. So hypertrophy is like I'm building my biceps with bicep curls, or I'm building my triceps with tricep crushers, right? And in my opinion, like they do have a place and relevance. If you want to aesthetically build your muscles out, then it makes sense to be that specific about each muscle group. For me, I'm not doing that right now, but I do think accessories or hypertrophy still make sense for areas of weakness if you feel like you can't do one of the other movements well. Okay, so for pull-ups, I knew I had to have more like deltoid strength. And so I was doing a bit of like hypertrophy exercises for deltoid, calf of the shoulder. Accessories with core. I know that for me, my pull-up feels like my core is the weak link of that movement. I don't know how to describe that. I just feel like when I connect with it, even if I connect with it, I feel like it's like it fatigues quickly. I just feel like it's not keeping up. Okay. Similar, my push-up, if you guys ever see me do them on Instagram, I'm tucking my chin in. And that's actually because I feel like it helps me build front body tension, as in like it helps me engage my abdominal wall, specifically my lower abdominal wall, which I think has been weak for a long time. Definitely weaker since having kids, but also just like my legs are very long. So trying to lift my legs in space requires a lot of hip flexor and core strength. So I'm just building it, right? And so for me, I feel like it is worth my time to put in an accessory of core movement so that it like helps me with all the other movements. And that's where I would say putting in a hypertrophy exercise makes sense. If you know that an area is weak because of injury or something like that, then it makes sense to put that in for programming, okay? At least maintenance once a week, maybe more than that if you feel like depending on how much it's limiting you from doing the other movements, okay? So those are my personal goals. Core, I don't know. My core goals are like do a hollow hold well, and I don't know, supporting other movements. Okay. Those are basically my core goals. Okay. So that's my goals. And then as you can see on this kind of column, I'm looking at, okay, how often do I want to build that in? Okay. How much volume do I have through the week to actually build things in? I've looked at this before. This is why I chose these amount of times per week, because I feel like it's actually like achievable for me. Okay. And so then if you look up here, then I take like workout day 1. For me, it's Monday, Thursday, Friday. That's fine. You can just put in whatever you want. I have a warm up that I'm going to kind of like do for whatever is going to be limited for me. And then I have taken all of those frequencies from below and how many times I want to do it, and I've put them into these 3 times a week. So all of these movements that you see in column A are reflective of how many times I wanted to fit them in. Okay. So then I'm going to kind of figure out which things I want to do. Okay. So if I go back to what I had done before, can I move this around? Okay. I've bolded these because like I told you guys, I chip away at things. Okay. So from my crazy weekend, I'm in week 4 of my latest programming. Okay. This kind of week, the stuff that's not bolded is stuff that I will trying to be completing today. So yes, it turns into like, these are my workouts that I set for like Monday, Thursday, Friday. But I also I tick them off as I go through the week, because sometimes it ends up looking like, oh crap, I have stuff left over from my checklist through the week that I didn't get around to. And this is where the like movement snacks come in, right? Because I'm probably going to do a pull-up hold while I'm getting ready for work. I might do something at work if I get an open minute. I don't often do that. But anyways, I'm going to be trying to fit these in, okay? So that I can say, I've completely checked these off. I'm going to bold them all. And that makes me feel good in the checklist thing. Okay. But this is where my last week kind of left off of what I actually had in. Okay. So I'm going to be just moving all of this over. The dips is that below shoulder push. The pull up is that overhead pull. All of these end up being a thing. Okay. So for you guys, if you went into the programming, right? Pick a variation that you feel like is representative of below shoulder push. If you don't know, then I'm happy to help you out. And you don't have to do the below shoulder push and the below shoulder pull, but definitely overhead push and pull, horizontal push, pull, squat, hip hinge, and ankle movement should definitely be in there sometime through your week. Okay. So I'm just going to kind of go back to my workout already in the way that I had programmed it. Okay. And I'm just pulling that through to, this is like, I wanted to get that Wednesday stuff in. It didn't happen. Okay. Cause sometimes you just got to pivot and be like, this is too much volume, which it was. So I'm just going to do this. I'm going to bring it in. Yes. And then I am going to take this all unbold because it's something new. Oopsies, that was not right. That was not right. Oh, why didn't that work? Sorry, guys. I wanted that to work, but did it? This is moving this over. I'm going to just move this over. I don't know why that got shifted, but anyways. Perfect. Okay, and unfold. So this is what my workout is going to look like. And so I'm going to pull all of the other weeks out because I want to go with what was I doing before. So this is going to be the reps and sets. And like I told you before, you're going to pick the 7 compound movements. That's step 1. You're going to figure out how many days a week do you have realistically, because I want you to win with this, right? You don't want to pick stuff that's like just all or nothing that you're going to do for 2 weeks and then drop. What works in your life, even if it's 1 time a week, that would be helpful to know, right? And then once you figured out how many times a week you're going to do, I would say like for me, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 movements is a lot. I would say like pick 5 to 8 movements that you're going to do in a workout. Okay. Be realistic. Can you fit them in? Okay. And then so you figure out how many times a week can I realistically do these. And so if it's like I've got 2 times a week, I want to fit in all the movements. Maybe it only looks like doing something twice a week if you want to build it, right? Instead of the 5 times a week that I've shown. Hopefully you guys are with me. Okay. So we've got what are the movements? How often can I do the movements? How many days a week am I doing the movements? Okay. You're going to pick a movement in each category that feels like it doesn't hurt you, feels like it's challenging. And you might have to play around with the weight that you're using or how many reps you're doing to really figure out what is realistic for me. It should be hard on the last 2 reps of whatever you're choosing to do. Okay. That's like a fairly good, maybe 3 reps. Okay. Reps in reserve. If you want to talk about it, like I want it to feel fairly hard by the time that you're done, not exhausting you. And if you have no energy because you got 2 little ones, like maybe you choose something that doesn't completely exhaust you by the last 2 reps and know that it's not going to build quite as fast, but still way better than not doing anything if you're not being frequent enough or consistent enough with movement. Okay. So then it's like, how do I do reps and sets? Okay. So in my opinion, something should start at about 15 reps. If it's challenging, you're probably only going to be able to do that many. Okay, 15 reps total. So if I put that into a sequence, maybe 3 by 5, 3 sets, 5 reps. Okay, do 5 reps, rest, do 5 reps, rest, do 5 reps, rest. Okay, and then when you get really good at that skill, so for me, I'm trying to build out from something that's like about 15 to 20 reps to something that looks more like 40 reps. Okay, so 15 reps to 40 reps. That's what we're kind of like playing with. Sure, you can do more than that. And for some of this, you'll see that I do a little bit more than that. Like my push-up, because I want to get 30 push-ups, right? Probably going to have to do more volume than 40 reps total in a session to try and build out what looks like 30 push-ups, okay? And it can look like 3 different ways. It can look like a million ways, honestly, programming, but I just want to like make it kind of easy to understand, okay? Because I've found that these things have been helpful for me to kind of build volume, okay? So I'm going to show you guys. So like I said, 15, I put 50 reps here. Okay, so 15 to 50 reps is what you're kind of working on. Find a variation that works for you. So overhead push, like a shoulder press with dumbbells, that would be fine. Horizontal push, maybe it looks like putting a band around your back and pushing forward on your back, in standing, in sitting, something like that, okay? On my website, I'm also gonna have like variations of each of these movements. So you can kind of go in, see what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's coming. It's just gonna take time. I'm always happy to answer by a DM as well. If you're like, I don't really know how to put in an overhead push movement, or whatever the case may be. So you're finding the variation. You're picking how many times a week you're going to do it. And then you're going to pick out how many reps can I do of this? What style of rep sequence do I like to do? Okay. Because it really doesn't matter. In my opinion, it's like just as long as week to week you're seeing, okay, I can do 15 reps of this. I could do 17 reps of this now. I can do 18. I can do 25 reps. I'm up to 40 reps, right? That's showing progression. And it's a really nice way to see that you're winning each session. I follow somebody who says, like, if you can PR in every session, personal best, personal record, it's going to keep you interested, engaged, and that kind of thing. So I like doing that. I like every session to feel progressive, like, oh, fuck yeah, I got this new thing, right? I'm able to do now this many more of this, especially when it's a redundant movement that takes a lot of consistency to do. It's like, it's nice to feel like you are very visually progressing in each session. Okay. So when we look over to these kind of 3 styles, in brackets, it's how many reps total are happening. Okay. So again, I don't care how you split it out, just as long as you're getting the reps in. Maybe it actually looks like, I don't know, doing 5 reps, going to yell at the kids, coming back down 2 hours later, doing another 5 reps. Like, in my opinion, in the day, if you get the reps in, better than no reps in. So it doesn't have to look like it's all packed in one session. Okay. And so I've kind of put 3 different styles here. The middle one is probably the most commonly seen, right? I'm going to do a set of 5. I'm going to rest. I'm going to do another set of 5. I'm going to rest. I'm going to do another set of 5. And so that's 3 sets, 5 reps for 15 reps total. Okay. I can share this with you guys, but in each session, if it's progressive, it could look like this, right? I'm doing 3 sets of 6. You could keep going 3 sets of 8, 3 sets of 9, 3 sets of 10, right? Like, you could do it that way. Sometimes it feels better to, like, okay, now I can do like 4 sets of a movement and slowly build up this way. Okay. It really doesn't matter how you build that out, but the process is like, I'm doing sets of this amount of exercise and I'm slowly building that over time. Okay. This allows you to get good rest in the middle, like a 1 to 2 minute rest between sets, which oftentimes, like when I was starting out, I didn't really feel like I needed that rest because it was mostly me getting used to the movement. It wasn't that my muscles were like failing on me after the first set. It was just like, I was learning. I was a novice athlete. I was like making those motor connections. So I wasn't truly fatigued. Now I'm hitting plateaus with things. Like, I am working to the point that it's very, very hard for me and I need the rest or I'm going to fail my next set, right? If I don't take like 2 minutes between my pull-ups, I'm not going to get 5 the next time. So I have to take that rest. Okay. So if you're feeling like, do I really have to take the rest? You'll know because it won't feel like you can get through the next set. Okay. If you're being honest with yourself and you are putting yourself in like a challenging principle where the intensity is like, this is challenging for me, then you're likely going to have to take rest in between. Okay. Sometimes with squats, because I hate them, it's really helpful for me to do a descending pyramid. Okay. Start with as many reps as I can kind of do. And then I know that the next set that I come to, I'm going to have to do less reps and less reps and less reps. That's called a drop set or descending pyramid. And so that is another way. And as you can see in brackets, it's still getting you the same reps. It's just mentality wise, it just feels like it's getting easier and easier as the workout goes on. Okay. For me, that sometimes is helpful. Sometimes I won't get into more complex than that. I was just going to say, no, I'll leave it. That is a way that you can do it. Okay. And then EMOM, which is like, nobody knows what this is unless you've done CrossFit before, I think, or any kind of like HIIT programming. It means every minute on the minute you are going to do an exercise. Okay. I move into this one when I feel like my volume is fairly low. So I can't do a whole lot of something. So say I can do 2 push-ups. Okay. I know I have 2 reps in me. And it's frustrating because I'm like, I can't do like 10 sets of 2 to get 20 reps. That seems like outrageous. Then you move it into, okay, what is it like to do? And if it is actually 2 reps, then you could do this as like 10-minute EMOM every 10 minutes on the minute. And you can set, I can show you like there's a smart WOD timer. And if you hit Tabata, you can actually set this up as this or it actually has EMOMs on it. Doesn't matter. I can help you through that if you have questions. But it basically is a timer that on your phone goes 3, 2, 1, beep, go. And you do the 2 reps and then it's going to count out the next minute for you. And then it's like, get ready, 2 reps, go, beep. And then you do another 2 reps. And so this is like, it doesn't feel that hard because you are only doing like a smaller amount of reps, but because it's happening over 10 minutes, you're still getting a lot of volume in. I find this helpful. Just like if I feel like one, I have to shorten it because I don't have a lot of time. I'm like, oh, I just like commit to this like 5-minute EMOM and I just do it. This is CrossFit does this very frequently where they have like very close, like do as much as you can in 10 minutes, just get the workout done really fast. So it can be helpful. And as you see, like I'm building out the repetitions in that as well. So I'm in all 3 scenarios, I'm working from somewhere in 15 to 20 reps and I'm progressing week to week. Okay. So if I go back up, I know that these have been a little bit different. So actually by the end of my last week, oh, shoot. I actually should have just like copied and pasted this one. Sorry. Because that was at the final part of my last training. Okay. Was what I've got going on here. Okay. That's how I left things off. This is where I was at with the movement. Uh-oh. There we go. Oops. Sorry, guys. Okay, so this is where I was at, and I just want to kind of reflect back and see, okay, where am I at now? By the end of my training, as in yesterday, I actually realized that I have 7 reps in me. Instead of 6, I can do 7 reps together of a dip. Okay, so before it looked like 6 by 6, and now because I can do 7 reps, this is 36 reps total, mathing. And so because I can do 7, I want to progress to that. I want to, because I'm trying to get to like 4 sets of 10 dips. Okay, that's what I want to get to, 40 reps total, right? And as you do the more concentrated, that's going to be harder, right? So 36 isn't bad. I'm close to 40 anyways, but I can't do more than 6 reps at a time. I actually can. I can do 7. I can do 10. That's what I saw. That's my max test. I'm not going to do that as a working set. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to doing 5 sets of 7 reps. Okay. I'm going to do 7 at a time, and that is 35. So I've dropped down 1 in the volume, but I actually am doing them more concentrated, which feels like it's a progression for me. Okay, so even though my total rep volume is lower, I'm still progressing. My pull-ups, I tried to do 7 reps. Okay, I even had 5 by 7 in my week 4. I can't do them. I overshot that, so I had to go back to being like, Leah, you idiot, you can only do 6 by 6. Like you can't get 7 reps in, you can get 6 reps in, and that is with a band. Okay, I'm like band assisted with that, with a red thick band. Okay, so that's going to stay the same for me on that. And then toes to knees to like toes to bars. I'm pulling my knees up to touch. Okay, kind of like a high knee tuck. And this is going to have to stay the same too. They're hard for me. I would say that this is the slowest to progress for me, which is frustrating. But I have to be humble and realize like that is going to just stay where it is, and hopefully it'll get better through this 4-week block. My lunge, like I said, is going to stay the same. Okay, that's been the same for a very long time. 135, 4 sets, 6 reps. I'm getting 24 reps total. I'm comfortable with that. It's like minions mode. I'm trying to get a really tight V sit, so pushing through my hands and getting my legs to be like that. And so I won't get into the nuance, but that is a below shoulder push again, and this is going to have to stay the same too, because it is like I'm almost feeling out of that movement by the end set and the end reps. I'm not able to get as high as I would like to get. So I know that that has to hold as well. Push-ups, I did a 20 rep max at the end of like last month of training. So I know I can do 20 at a time. So this is still going to look like 3 by 16, but it is going to look like 3 by 17, 3 by 18, 3 by probably, I don't know, 19 to 20. Okay. Because by the end of this block, I am hoping that I can do 3 sets of 20 push-ups. Okay. And that is going to be the same throughout the weeks, because I'm putting that volume in quite a bit to try and build those out. So that looks like that. Okay. Hollow body hold. I hate them. And I actually feel like getting my core to engage happens better in a handstand. So I was doing 3 sets of that core specific hollow body. This is an accessory core movement. That is going to stay the same. I just want to keep, oopsies. I just want to keep making sure that I keep a hollow body in, because I feel like they're helpful. But I don't feel like doing a whole lot more of them has given me any more than it's currently getting me, if that makes any sense. I'm not feeling like I'm progressing with that, but I do want to hold a core movement that feels challenging for me, that I know is helping with all the other things. So it's in maintenance as well. Okay. Handstand, like I said, that is overhead push movement. And I feel like my core is like working so hard with this body line that I've created. So I'm going to be holding that actually and just hoping that I'm so what's happening with my handstand up against the wall, I don't know if you guys watched that, is I am doing the movement, but I keep falling out of the movement. So I'm trying to get a longer and longer free hold. So that's going to be my personal challenge in that, is just like trying to stay upright for that full 30 seconds. And it's going to hopefully progress over the weeks. Okay. And that's going to stay the same in here as well. Okay. So I'm not progressing that. That's kind of maintenance, but it is a progression in its own because I'm trying to stay upright for longer periods of time. Dips, again, I'm going 5x7 now. Okay. The toes to bar. Yeah, I overshot that, right? Because I can't do 4 reps. I can only do 3 reps. It's going to have to stay the same, unfortunately. My squat, that has been the same. That is lower, 3x5, 15 reps total. They're the hardest movement for me. They will always be the hardest movement for me. I know the other stuff looks challenging when I'm like doing it, but frig, I hate squats. But I do them because why do I do them? That's maybe helpful. I have low-grade SI joint pain. I have for a very long time. I haven't since I've worked out. And I do feel like it has something to do with my butt being strong. Aesthetically, I like that my butt is bigger as well. Okay, candidly. But I do these lower body like lunge, squat, hip hinge because I do feel like all of those movements, yes, they work my quad, and I want pistol squats too for my quad. But a big booty seems to be helpful for me for SI joint pain. Okay. Where am I? So then we have that horizontal pull movement, and I am doing like a top hold where I'm holding right up against the bar while I'm on my back. And I'm doing that 3 times 15 seconds. Okay. Again, I'm probably not going to progress that amount of time. What I'm going to be doing is trying to, and sometimes you have to write this in. I know this for myself, but what I'm trying to do over time is I had bent knees when I started to do this. Now I'm at straight legs on the ground. Over this week block, I'm hoping to get up to like a 14 to 16 inch block. Okay, so my feet are higher. So the bar is here. Before it was like here or even here, which was easy. Now it's harder. And this is going to be even harder for me, okay, to try and maintain that 3 by 15 seconds. I might even have to go down to 3 by 10 seconds to be able to pull off a higher height. So I'll adjust that as I feel like I need to. Similarly, if I jump down, we've got the Australian row, which again is upside down, but I'm coming to the bar in and out of the movement. And so that is 3 by 10. I'm going to be moving that to 4 by 10 as a progression because before I had to do that all with bent knees, and then I had one leg straight and then flip to the other leg straight. And so I'm going to get 4 sets in, as in 1, 1, 2, 2. So 2 on each side. Just makes sense in my brain to do that. I already feel like I have the ability to do that volume, although this is very challenging for me. So again, I'm not progressing the reps. Well, yes, I am. I'm progressing the set, right? I'm getting another 10 in. So that in itself is hard. But I'm playing around with my legs. That's how I'm making that harder. Okay, so you won't see it on my programming necessarily, week to week increase. So I'm trying to get cleaner with not having to bend my legs at all. Good. Calf raise, again, that is holding. I want to keep that the same. Ah, what just happened there? Sorry. Good. Again, I'm not trying to progress that one. I'm just trying to keep it the same. And that one is like on one leg. The last 3 reps are incredibly challenging for me to get right up to the top. So I know that that is still kind of like a good place to be. I even help myself up to the top with my other foot and kind of hold it for a second just to kind of develop that skill. And then the L sit on the floor is 3 by 10 right now. I am honestly happy for that to just like stay constant. So it's now kind of like moving into, okay, I'm going to maintain that. Can I maintain 3 by 10 each week and not necessarily progress it? Got bigger fish to fry. It's where I wanted to get to, a 10-second L sit hold that looked clean. I'm happy with that, where that is. Okay, so if I maintain it by doing it once a week and with my other kind of movement, like I showed you guys, that V sit is kind of similar. So I know that 2 times a week between the 2 of them is going to be helpful to just keep that going. Okay. This is going to seem overwhelming. I get that. But hopefully you can kind of see what I'm going with and kind of where I'm going. Again, my pull-up is now with band assist at 5 by 7 because I can do 7 reps total. So I'm backing off with 1 rep, but I'm doing more consecutive. I'm working towards 4 sets of 10 with a band. And then I'm going to be seeing how many reps that I can do consecutively without any band in my next week block. Okay, my next 4 weeks, which seems like a long way away, but it's the process. I know I don't have the volume right now because I tried to do a pull-up and I get maybe 2 really greasy pull-ups. So I'm hoping by the end of building out to 4 by 10, that's going to seem like it's actually doable for me. Okay, so I'll show you in a second what that's going to look like. A top hold is, again, that overhead pull. It's an easier movement for me. I just come to the top and try and hold it. And that, again, I have built that out over time. So it was like 3 sets of 5 seconds, and I built that out to 4 by 10. I'm going to hold that. Okay, I'm going to hold that the same as what it was. The hip thrust, either 225 on the bar as a bilateral movement. I also, if you looked in the other program, maybe if you saw it really quick, I have been doing a single leg variation of that. So I know that number. I'm not going to put it in right now just for the sake of kind of getting through this as quickly as possible. Well, I'll just tell you guys. Okay, so if it is something different, it's going to be a landmine, a different variation. So I'm either going to do the double leg bar or 45-pound weight on my landmine single leg. So that's just like me kind of as an alternative to the movement. Maybe I'll just throw that over here. Okay. What else do I have? Anything else? No, I put it all in. Okay. So now I know, like, okay, where is my tolerance right now for my dips and my pull-ups? They're, oops, sorry, guys. No, that's a 6 by 6. As I told you, I tried to do more, can't do more. It's going to have to stay there. Okay. So if I can't do more reps with my band assist pull-up, then I think I'm going to have to do more sets. Okay, so this is 36. Oh God, you guys. So don't judge me. Okay, I don't need your judgment. 7 times 6, 42. Okay, 42 reps. So 7 times 6 is what I'm going to be doing. Okay, and that's going to build up my volume. I'm now doing another set of 6. And so that is 42 reps total, which is different than what I was doing before. Okay, because more reps equals better. It's just like more tolerance. So I probably am going to notice that if I put 7 sets of 6 in for 2 kind of weeks through both of those. Okay, up here too. I now have 40 to play with, 42 reps, right? So I bet you I'm going to be able to come back and do 6 sets of 7 by the end of that, which is going back down again, but I built it up. So it's like, if I feel like I can't progress in a certain way, then I need to like try and figure out how can I sneakily put more reps in to get where I want to go. And that is the nuance. And I have played around with it over and over again. And really, it's going, oopsies. Oh, God. Sorry. It's going over to these 3, right? And figuring out, okay, can I maybe get into it this way? Can I get into it this way or invert the sets and reps to get the same volume or do something with that? Can I build it this way where I'm like, it's not like I can't do 8 reps, but I just hate it. It's my descending pyramid kind of mentality. If I hate the movement, I'll do it this way. Right? So it's like all that matters is that you're progressing the reps or how many reps you're able to do together. So you can play around with it and figure out how am I going to do that? How am I going to progress week to week? Okay. Even though you've seen me move into maintenance with a lot of these, so staying the same, let's say for the calf raise, I'm not like deciding I'm never going to progress that movement. It's just right now, I only have a certain amount of volume to play with. And I know that a lot of it's kind of moving into maintenance right now in this 4 weeks. And it's because I'm gearing up to add another activity in my week, right? Frisbee is going to take away volume, which is frustrating because I got goals. But anyways, it's going to be happening. I'm excited to go play. I like the people I play with. But I know that some of this stuff is going to have to look more like maintenance. And usually it looks like everything's building. All of my upper body movements, but right now it doesn't look like that. Okay. So my dips. Okay. Let's go back to that. So I can do 7 in a row. I can do 10 total in a row. So I know that I have a little bit more to play with than I did before. So I'm probably going to have it look like this: 5 by 7, 5 by 7, 5 by 8, 5 by 8. Okay. If I get there on that day and I'm like, fuck, I overshot that. I can't do that. Actually, 35, what's 4 by 8? 32, right? Yeah, that's what I'm probably going to do. 4 by 8. Okay. So I'm still like, okay, I had 35 reps. Now I'm doing 32 reps, but I'm actually doing that with more consecutive reps together. Okay. So it's like, how can I not hate my life? How do I get a treat for that? Like get a treat to do less sets by doing more reps. Okay. Again, this is nuance and me learning over time. But again, I'm either doing more repetitions week to week or I'm compressing them together, doing more reps all together. Okay. Because like I said, my goal in my dips is to do 4 by 10. I would love to do that. 40 reps total, 10, 10, 10, 10. That would make me feel like a badass. So that's where I'm going. Toes to knee to elbow. That's probably going to look like that. And then maybe I'm going to try and do 9. So I can't do more than 3. It's frustrating. But anyways, that's going to be progressing. Okay, 27 reps as opposed to 24. So I'm still moving in an upward direction. I can't do many reps, so I can't do like any other way, like the descending triangle. I can't get 8 reps in at the very beginning. So it has to stay at like a 3 rep thing. So how else can I play with volume? Oh, I can increase my amount of sets. Okay. Hoping that as I increase my amount of sets, the total volume means that maybe I can do 4 reps total the next time I come around to this. My lunge is going to stay the same. And the single leg raise. What am I going to do there? Mm. 5 by 7. I'll see how that goes. I might change that around. That one's really hard for me too. But that would be another like big jump in volume, right? And if I can do that, then hopefully I can come back around to realizing that I can do more consecutive reps and get through that. The dips again, what did I have? 5 by 7, 5 by 7, 4 by 8, 4 by 8. Okay. Again, I'm gonna bring that through because that's what I'm gonna do in this one. That toes to that knees to elbows, that's me getting my toes to bar movement. I really want that movement. So I know it's good for abdominal wall and I just want the movement in general. Front squats is going to stay the same. And as you guys have been watching, I've been doing my handstand push-ups, right? My overall goal is to do overhead all the way to the ground, handstand push-up. Against the wall, freehold would be badass, but I'm not there yet because I don't have my handstand really consistently there. Anyways, again, I kind of like max tested or figured out where I was. And last time I checked, which was kind of yesterday, I can do no block under my head, 6 by 6. Okay. So I'm like, I want to progress that because by the time I can do 4 sets of 10, 40 reps of that, right? If I can do that, then I feel like I will start to play with like up against the wall. Oh no, I lie. So I am going off a box with both feet. And I think my next progressive step is to either I can go 2 ways here. I can make the reps more from what I'm doing. Okay, so it could look like I switch to that 5 by 7 to see how that goes. 5 by 7. I actually think I have more in the tank than I give myself credit for with this. So I could make it look like, yeah, well, let's not do that. 4 by 9. 4 by 10. Yeah, could look like that. Okay, so I went 35 reps, 40 reps, 36 reps, 40 reps. Okay, so I kind of like dropped down as I moved into more consolidated repetitions. So I could do that and keep both feet on the box. Okay, that is like probably the smartest way to progress. But I am kind of probably going to retest how is it if I have one leg straight up in the air and I have one on the box, which is a progression on how hard that is for me personally. Again, this is where the nuance of knowing how to progress can be really helpful. That calisthenics program that I signed up for, I was able to see like, what is your structure on how you progress through movements? So that was really incredibly helpful for me. Now I have that resource. I know all of the progression. So if you have questions, happy to help. Yeah. So I probably will also retest that. Okay. So if I can do even 4 reps of having one leg straight and one leg bent, I'm probably going to move to that. I'm probably going to move to like 6 times 4 if I can pull that off, maybe 5 times 4 if I can't. 4x4 if I can't. But if I can do 4 reps of it, I'm going to start doing that as the movement, okay, instead, because I think that making it that harder for intensity is going to benefit me more than trying to get this volume of my toes on box, because I actually think I might be underrating how hard this is. Like, I think I could probably even pull off 4x10 right now if I really went down and pushed it. So I'm going to try and move to a one-legged version, okay, and that's going to look like 4x4 if I can kind of do that, and then that's going to be progressing week to week, okay? So that is how I program. It's confusing. Oh, yes. I also wanted to talk about, okay, so my warm-ups, okay? When I have overhead movements, I want to do wrist routine. I'm going to actually like shorten this up because I have been delinquent and stopped doing some of these movements, okay? An overhead press, that's because I've been doing handstand press, so I really don't feel like I need to do that. External rotation of the shoulders, I do still want this. I find that it's helpful. So outies. Okay, I have my elbows bent. They're usually, I can't get high enough to show you. Anyways, front raise, deltoid, lateral raise, deltoid. That's hypertrophy movements. A bear hug feels really good for my shoulder blades, and I need a lot of shoulder blade kind of movement while I'm working on these things. And then specifically for me, I have a really stiff joint on my left side in my trunk, in my thoracic spine, my rib. It just doesn't want to do the thing over here. So it actually limits my ability to make the muscle do what I want it to do in the lower fiber trap area, in the lower part of my shoulder blade. So I do, rehab-wise, need to work on back bending to make my thoracic spine a little bit more flexible that way. And I also need to work on the muscles that are kind of stabilizing around my shoulder blade. Yes, they're coming along in all of these different compound movements, but I always notice that I'm leaning more into my right arm when I do movements. Is that normal? Yes, we do. We often have one side that's dominant, one side that is not. But I can feel that if that was stronger in that kind of like bottom end of my shoulder blade, I probably would be able to like pull off more movement, not be a little bit sore on my shoulder after some of these movements. So that's something that I need to work on. So T's and Y's, happy to talk to you guys about that. But what I've decided, because I do a lot of rests between sets, I also have decided that I'm also going to put in some of my flexibility movements when I have nothing else to do but wait, okay? That's going to look like my hamstring stretching. For me, that's over the edge of a stair holding onto a weight in a forward fold. I find it really helps with my hamstring length. I need my hamstring length to be able to do that straddle press above head, the handstand. Okay, so that for me is specific. And I also, I know that my back would feel better if I did like the weird bridge that you see in gymnastics. It hurts so much lately because I'm just not as flexible as I used to be. And so I'm putting a TheraBall underneath my back, doing a back bend over that ball. And then if I feel like I want to, pushing up so I get that bridge. Okay, but it's supported. So that's going to be a ball bridge that I'm going to put in between sets. Same with hamstring stretching. That gets me into kind of all the things I need for flexibility. I'm going to be 1 sec, okay? Like 1 minute, yeah. And then finally, as I'm moving into Frisbee, I need more, and I think I've just been lacking in this generally. All of these movements, because they're hard for me, gets my heart rate up. So like I know that I challenge my heart rate and I don't necessarily need to put in cardiovascular movement necessarily, okay? But I'm about to do a whole bunch of shifts in like sprint for 30 seconds and then back off for up to 2 minutes or up to 5 minutes. Actually, Frisbee's stupid that way. So shin splinty things. It's not enough to do my calf raises. I think I also need to do knees over toes guy. Would recommend that you do backward walking up the treadmill. Okay. So you go backwards on an incline treadmill, and the toe to heel movement is really helpful for those muscles in the deep part of our feet. So I'm going to be doing that for 2 minutes as my like warm up. I also need some kind of impact movement that gets my heart rate up, challenges my like sprinty nature, but also gets my feet used to kind of coming into really quick contact. So I'm actually either going to jump on the trampoline for 2 minutes before I get going with my exercises, or I'm going to skip, both of which are like high impact activity, gets my heart rate up and gets my feet used to being like bouncy shit. So those are going to be things that I do as I like, before I get into a warm up. My basement's really cold. So I also feel like sometimes I feel cold. And I remember in high school, cold cheese stretches, warm cheese bends. And I've always kind of thought, okay, this is why they're telling us to do warm ups. Yeah. Anyway, Mr. Lee, Maggie. Anyway, so those are the reasons that I'm doing what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm going to end up putting in like a cardio kind of component above here, which is jump for 2 minutes. Okay, whether it's a trampoline or whether it's skipping, and backward treadmill walking. Okay, for 1 minute. Okay, I'm going to be putting that in for every day that I do my workout, and hoping, fingers crossed, that I actually get that in. So if you guys have any questions, just like, yeah, you know where to find me. And hopefully that was helpful. Hopefully not too overwhelming. The basics, again, I'm going to say one more time. The movements, you need the 7 of them in, 9 if you're including below shoulder push and pull, which are in my mind kind of optional. So you need the movements. You need them at least 1 time a week. If you have more than 1 time a week to work out, you're going to figure out which ones do you want to progress, because they're going to go in twice a week or more. Figure out the variation that feels best for your body in all 7 of those movements. Okay. Just think like, how would I push something above head? How would that feel good for me? Right? How would I push something in front of me? How would that feel good for me? And then make sure that you pay attention to the volume of reps that you're doing and make sure that it's progressive in some way. Maybe not every week, as you've seen with me. Sometimes I hold the same reps, but definitely by the end of a 4-week block, you should see that you've gone up in reps total, or how closely packed you've got your reps together in a set. And that's that. Okay, guys, bye.